Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Play On. My name is Candace Barrett.
I'm Rob Mackay.
And this is Peacey. I'm not dead. Despite rumours to the contrary, I'm alive and well. Thank you guys for a great podcast last week. I really enjoyed listening to you too.
Thanks. I'm glad that you're feeling better.
Been a rough couple of weeks, busy couple of weeks. I don't take many sickies, but I certainly did. It's been an interesting week. So much footy. Oh, my Lord.
I know. It was so good. There's a few where I was like, I'll have to watch in full or some minis. But then, like, who has like 4 or 5 hours plus spare?
The stand games, which game do you want to watch? That was so far across. And my remote at the moment doesn't have a left and right arrow because it's broken. So that's hard.
So you have to time it perfectly when it's like shuffled over.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes it very difficult.
So much interesting stuff in rugby. Can I tell you a funny story, though, about my weekend just gone?
Please do.
My darling daughter had to go to Warren for netball trials. Now, Candace,
Paddy McCutcheon territory.
And then some. It's a bit further out than Paddy.
Yeah.
4.5-ish hours west of me, on the road to pretty much nowhere. You get to Warren, there's nothing further. It's proper big farming country. I dropped her off to her netball trials and I had the 3-hour window to kill. So I went to a local cafe and sat down on my own, drinking a coffee. And a couple of guys came and sat on the table with me and we started talking, some old fellas. Had some really interesting conversations with the first couple who were there half hour with me. And then their group of mates arrived. And there's about 8 of them. And the 8th guy that arrived, so we'd been talking and they knew a bit about me. They also knew I ref rugby. And they introduced me, this is Nathan from Bathurst. He refs rugby. And this bloke, bloody referees have ruined rugby. And just at me.
Is that Eddie Jones?
It sounded like Eddie Jones. He looked a bit like Eddie Jones too. And he just at me and didn't stop. And about 3 minutes into his diatribe, I went, "But why don't you tell me what you really think?" And he just kept going and he kept going. And I'm 10 minutes in. I thought, I'm out. Tap out. Thanks, fellas. I'm out. Had the rest of my coffee, got up to go. And he's launched again. One last barrage at me. And I thought, I picked up the half a glass of water I'd drunk and it still had half a glass of water in it. And I thought, I'm not a half empty guy, but I'm going to empty it all on him. Oh, my Lord. It's not the referee's fault, Eddie.
Yeah. My goodness.
We are doing what you guys ask us to do. And if you're bending the rules, someone's going to call it up.
So this person was sort of lashing, I guess, their feelings about what World Rugby onto yourself.
Dare I say that their sentiment may have mirrored the Wallabies' form and his frustration at the Wallabies not winning football has been pointed in the wrong place. Dare I say that he's pointing his frustration at the wrong person.
So he was Australian?
He was a blue-blooded farmer from Warren.
Okay. Just checking because there are some other nations who aren't on the Christmas card list with referees.
Yeah.
No names, no pack drill.
Yeah, well, there's some turn-up results as well. The Wallabies losing, not a turn-up. New Zealand and England, that's probably a surprise result, the magnitude of the score.
Oh, yeah. They have a great team. It's just be really interesting because obviously they've been winning their matches all in Twickenham as well. So I feel like they had really good momentum.
Yeah, and they're a good outfit. They're well coached, they're well drilled. They do a really good job of getting under the skin of the opposition and it's working for them.
I said a couple of weeks ago they're building, and a couple of people said to me, no, the Wallabies are just shit. And I said, no, I think they're building, and I think that probably puts a score under that. And the All Blacks are suffering a similar malaise to us, and I would hate to think that's because our super competition isn't good enough. I don't know whether there's a correlation there or not. It's a bit hard to tell.
For me, the correlation's always been how many registered players does your country have? And New Zealand have always been an outlier. They've had less players and bucked the trend. New Zealand's got more players than Australia. That's why they consistently beat us. I think we are on par with the skills. So when you get a bigger population sample, you tend to do better. We both buck the trend against some of the bigger countries like France and England who have so many players, and South Africa, so many registered players. And that's starting to show.
I think that's an interesting dynamic, but it doesn't hold at super level. The most successful teams at super level have come from the small towns.
That's the interesting way of looking at it, but they've got access to the talent pool. Like if you live in Whangarei, you can go and play for any of the New Zealand franchises. That doesn't prohibit the Highlanders from grabbing some players. You go on that population side. So the Highlanders are the least performed New Zealand Super Rugby side. Also lowest population.
Crusaders are the best, and they're the second lowest population.
But it's not a hard commute to anywhere from Crusaders, and a little bit like some of the footy teams near the beach find it easier to attract players Christchurch is a great place to live in terms of an attraction for players to come and play for them. It's an interesting dynamic. I don't think it holds true for Super Rugby because you go and do your franchise bit, you play there. For nations, I think we are restricted. For nations, you have to be an Australian resident to play.
I think it's one of the conundrums for teams generally at the elite level because for years England underachieved. They had more players than most. And France is still the same. They've got the best pro competition in the world by a country mile, but they can't quite get their top team to bring home the loot.
We've spoken about that. I think the gap in French rugby is their ability to select the best players. They really struggle to get their best 20 on the 22 on the 23 on the team sheet. They really struggle with that. Always have. When they get it right, they're unbeatable. The Scots, it's very easy for them to pick a side. They can't get 23 good players. They get the 18 and 19 great ones, and they find a couple of roughies to bring in. Like for them, it's an easy dilemma. For France, that's a really tough problem to find neutral selectors to pick the best players, and then actually pick the best players in combinations.
Well, and I think England suffered that, France has suffered that, South Africa suffered it. South Africa seemed to have resolved it, and it's working in their favour. England might be getting there. France, they're not far off. And if those three actually get that right, we're all in a bit of trouble because they've got massive talent pools. And if they can just align those and get their selections right and their system right, as you say, Peacey, the numbers are against us. To be fair, they have been for a while.
For a long time.
And I think the reason we had that golden period at the turn of the century was we just got better at systems sooner, probably off the back of our rugby league experience, and capitalised on that. Plus, we had a generational pool of players, and the meeting of those two combined for a really sweet spot, and we haven't had it since. So that's a challenge for us.
I think to translate it to refereeing as well, I think the English referees are getting more games, and I don't think the English referees are better referees than the rest of them. But goodness me, they get a lot of top level footy, and it's very hard to refute a body of 10 top level games. When Gus, for example, he may get 10 Super Rugby games, and that's overworking him in our eyes. The English refs get it week in, week out. The French refs get it week in, week out, and their body of work.
The Prem and traveling to and from around Europe.
Their body of work is just easier to look at.
Well, and the French referees I find fascinating because, to your point, Peacey, their competitions are deep and broad, but we don't see a lot of French referees coming through to the top level. We've got a couple, but my goodness, where are they? They must be there because they're refereeing top 14, Pro D2, etc. They're floating around somewhere. So, is that another parallel between?
Why do we just have Pierre?
Yeah.
And likewise, South Africa's got a lot of footy being played. No referees to be seen.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting comparison, isn't it?
And we've got some referees from obscure places at the moment, and we actually always have. Mika is the great example. Where does that skill come from, and how did he get there with the competitions at his disposal?
Have Whistle travel, right? So he's obviously broken through on a junior tournament and been spotted and got on the pathway, and here we are. And there's another Georgian coming through, which we've talked about in previous weeks. So let's not downplay Georgia. Georgia's a top 12 team. So it's not as obscure as it may seem.
It's a heavy set-piece game with lots of rumble in their footy. They love the heavy stuff. That's actually the hard refereeing bit. If you can get that right, it might be that he's just got more of that hard to referee footy week in, week out.
Well, the intrinsic sport of Georgia too is not rugby, but it's rugby related. I can't remember the name of it, but it's not unlike rugby. So there's that underlying culture that goes with it.
It's a wrestling thuggery type ball sport, isn't it?
It's rugby 150 years ago. That's how I would describe it. Where you got tens of dozens of people on the pitch all just running around in this sort of cloud of dust, and somewhere in the middle of it there's a concept.
Should we talk about what games we had on the weekend?
Where do we start?
Do we hang shit on Eddie first?
Well, he has a pretty good job of hanging shit on himself.
Yeah,
he
Eddie,
just doesn't realise it.
You've been voted off the island, mate. It's time to go.
Eddie had a press conference after the Wales versus Japan match in his probably typical way when it's not going his way. He was saying that we're ruining the game of rugby. None of the actions today were sort of like intentional. So, his team basically got 3 yellow cards. One of them went to a bunker and that got raised to a red card. At one point there was 13 versus 15, and then it was basically there was a bit of a miss.
I
this
always found
match.
it interesting with Eddie. Every snippet you've got there. So he said, we're ruining the game of rugby. I think we need to add the words "for me" at the end of it with Eddie. You're ruining the game of rugby for me. None of the actions today were identical for me. He's got this interpretation. It's so self-interested. Always has been.
It's Eddie 101, right? You could take away the team names and you could replay that conversation anytime over the last 20 years, and you'd be hard pressed to isolate which match he's talking about, which country he's in.
Yeah.
So standard operating procedure for Eddie. I mean, a couple of interesting things around that. Was Japan disadvantaged by the cards unfairly? Well, there was a yellow card in the 79th minute that after the match ended got upgraded to a red card. Did that impact the game? No.
And was it a red card? Yes.
So, well, in the end, it wasn't. The disciplinary committee said it wasn't a red card, but they did say an act of foul play had occurred. So it would have been a yellow. It was a yellow for all intents and purposes on the field. So, like, no impact, right?
Yeah.
And that was Harry Hockings on debut, Australian player up in Japan. That's his first run on for Japan. Memorable day. He had a pretty good game prior to that. Josh Adams for Wales, he got a yellow card upgraded to red card, and he's got 6 weeks down to 3 weeks. He's got suspended. Eddie, I don't think that lost you the game, mate.
Yeah. It reminded me, I think he's starting to morph into Jeff Tuvey. If anyone's watched the press conference, you probably should. There's a famous meme of Jeff Tuvey. There's got to be an investigation.
Yeah. What happened here?
Yeah. Jeff Tuvey.
Is this Australian politics?
It's an Australian rugby league coach. It's hilarious.
Okay.
From your neck of the woods, Candace.
He sort of modelled himself on Bob Fulton and the cement truck.
Yeah.
But anyway, probably enough of that.
Some serious parallels there, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, there's plenty of other rugby news kicking around. For me personally, it's all been off-field stuff, so nothing to talk about there. The Nations Championship's been announced, the top 12 rugby nations. That's going to be big. I think that's going to change the landscape. Will it work? I don't know. What's happening is that next 12 teams under that are also playing. So we've got the top 24 teams playing this complex global double window tournament in every second year. So I'd hate to be doing the calendar. I think I'd love to be doing the travel because the travel people are going to make a bomb.
Yeah.
I'd hate to be the S&C people because there's some half travel itineraries there. I think it's Scotland. They've got to go around the world on one of them, and no doubt there are other teams as well. So that's going to be a tough gig, and I think home and away is really going to have an impact on that because it's kind of funny. It may advantage the Southern Hemisphere teams because we're actually used to travelling long distances to play footy. I mean, there's not a global sport that sees you play in South America, Africa, Australia, and New Zealand in the one tournament. It is just nuts. Yeah. And now the rest of the world's going to be doing something similar. My money's on coaches saying, the travel schedule was just so hard. And we're going, meh.
That's pretty normal. Welcome to our world.
That came out during the week. Let's see what happens there. World Rugby Player of the Year nominations are out for the men because bear in mind we've done the women. They happened all after the World Cup, which makes sense. So there's some interesting nominations. So we've got Try of the Year. We've got Breakthrough Player of the Year. So we've got Fabian Holland from New Zealand, Ethan Hooker from South Africa, Henry Pillock, your mate, from England, and Joseph Agusa-Suwali'i from Australia.
Yep.
Then the men's 15s Player of the Year.
Which I found was quite interesting.
This looks like an election fix, doesn't it? So you got Louis Biel-Barry from France, and we've talked about him plenty of times, and absolute box office. Then you got Peter Steph Dutoy, Malcolm Marx, and Oxenetche, all from South Africa. So it would be quite funny if the Frenchman won it.
I'd love to see the nominating panel for that one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Chances of them having a Protea badge on their chest, pretty strong.
Look, I've got to say, I do like the fact that 2 front rowers have been nominated.
Yeah, I do like the front row aspect.
Absolutely. I don't know that they're the right front rowers that should be nominated, but they have been nominated. Yeah, interesting. So I don't know where that'll go. It's hard to tell. You'd have to favour the South Africans, but sometimes that splits the vote and, the smoky or not comes through.
I feel like it's such a small pool. Like, why is there only Is it like 4 or 5? Is that what they normally pick?
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's a bit boring
I
when they
wonder.
roll
I wonder
20
what the
across the
number was
screen.
before that. I wonder if it started off as like 12, and actually they're
Oh,
quite a lot.
yeah,
I just want to
I'm
know.
sure.
It'd be quite
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Who are the others? Yeah, it's a fair
Yeah.
point, Candace. Very fair point. There was an interesting stat that came up for the breakthrough player of the year, and they listed the number of minutes they'd all played, and Joe had played the most by a country mile, and Pollock had played 146 minutes, the least by a long way. So I'm sure he's on most people's radar because of his behaviour. Who wins it? Oh, hard to pick that one. No
Yep.
idea. But, that we'll know the answers to that soonish. So that's happening. The World Cup.
Qualifications, for the World Cup as well.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a few upsets. Poor Belgium.
Oh, so talking about going down to the wire. I don't know if you've seen the result. So the final match of the qualifying tournament was Belgium and Samoa, which we did talk about. We said that was going to be the game, and sure enough it was. And all Samoa had to do to get through to the World Cup was draw the match, and that's what they did. 13 all.
13 all.
I would not have picked that in a month of Sundays.
Rugby was the winner.
That says a lot for Belgium, so I'm really pleased for them. And that means we've got a draw coming up. So here, 8 o'clock on the 3rd of December, Brett Robinson, Aussie World Rugby Chair, Dan Carter. Some of you may have heard of him. He's the guy I was once mistaken for. True story. James Slipper. Yeah, true story.
There wine goggles?
No. I've told that story, haven't I?
Huh?
Okay. I've got to tell the story. So we're at the airport and we're there picking up the sevens.
Sorry. What?
Sydney Airport.
What year was this?
2023.
2023. Okay.
So at Sydney Airport, I'm picking up the match officials for the Sevens series in Sydney that week. And we're all standing at the baggage carousel. I'm there with Paddy O'Brien. All the other guys are slowly coming through. And this guy comes running in with a sign for Dan Carter. Yeah, one of the chauffeurs, right? It's fair to say he probably wasn't from a well-known rugby playing nation. Anyway, he sees us. He reads the labels on our clothing because we've all got rugby stuff on in various variations. And he sort of comes up to us and goes, points his finger at me and goes, "Are you Dan Carter?" And Paddy O'Brien is piercing himself laughing. And there's another Kiwi, I think might have been Nick Hogan. He's just looking at this guy going, "What are you smoking, dude?" And the funny thing was, we'd just seen Dan Carter because he'd come off the same flight. And we go, "Oh, no, he's gone out that way. He's looking for his car." And the guy go, "That's me." So
you should Google him.
Running off,
he's kind of famous, yeah.
And then we all just stood around going, "Did that really just happen?" It was
I
very
just brought up
funny.
a photo of Dan, and I'm looking at you, and I can see the similarities. I can see why I got confused.
Yeah, both living males. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, high correlation there. So, very funny. So, anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
So, Dan Carter slips and Alicia Lucas, knee quirk, Olympic gold medalist. So, they'll be doing the draw. That'll be on the telly, streamed. Be interested to see where we land on that. There's some wellbeing initiatives that come out of World Rugby post-World Cup. So, there's some webinars around that. I reckon that'd be really interesting, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
Oh, wow. I'll have to take a look. I haven't seen that one.
Have a look. Interestingly enough, I had a friend of mine who's involved in cancer research, and she said to me the other day, "What are they doing about correlating impact around the chest area with breast cancer and rugby?" I went, "That's a very good question." So I sent her off to a couple of things that I was aware of, and now she's having a bit of a look at that. So I'll be interested to see where that goes.
Yeah. And then Sevens in New York in March.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a fun
Sevens
trip.
It's not on Manhattan in the west of New York City. It's where the two soccer teams play, or football, whatever you want to call it. Not American football, soccer football.
Soccer.
I did see an expression of interest to go to another equally cool Sevens tournament in Darwin. So hopefully anyone who wants
I
to
saw
go
that
there
too.
Put their noms in.
Yeah, I know which one is going to be warmer.
I'm not going because I will turn into a puddle.
Oh, my goodness. Candace is called the hottest Sevens. And
It's in Darwin.
I think it's Darwin it's January, isn't it, Peacey?
Is Darwin like
Straight
40 or something? Like it gets so hot.
Darwin is 35, like 9.5 hours of the day, and the other 4.5 hours a day, it's 34.5, and the humidity is about 200%. It is just like walking around in the
You're in
soil,
an
let alone
oven.
running.
Yeah, or a sauna.
Candace, I refed a game up there many, many years ago. I'm talking 25 years ago. I flew out of Bathurst on a cold winter's morning. It was -5.
Your poor body.
I flew into Darwin, and the Darwin guys were playing, I think it was Queensland country, and they thought, we're going to play them in the middle of the day in the sun just to really mess with them, and mess with them it did.
Oh, shit.
I refereed the last 20
Was
minutes
it like
with visible
fatigue in
signs
the
of heat
brain?
stroke.
Yeah, but just
Visible signs of heat stroke. I'm vomiting on the pitch, and the Queensland side have run out of subs, and it was disgusting.
I mean, we talk about the travel for the Nations Cup. Just come to Australia. We can give you that experience without having to leave the country.
Yeah. It's like playing cricket in Lahore in summer, those sorts of unfair advantages.
Yeah, Dean Jones, the late, great Dean Jones can talk all about that. My goodness.
Shall we move on to maybe more of the main segment, which is going on through the matches? So do you want to start off with Italy versus South Africa?
Why not?
Yeah, the first one up, because the red card happened quite early in the match, so 12 minutes into the match. So again, we have a second rower from South Africa. There was no clear wrap. They were watching it in like real speed as well, I think, when they were reviewing it and just making an assessment, also saying that it's always illegal action. So yeah, another red card for South Africa.
Yeah, it was a full red.
Yeah.
And the disciplinary committee has disagreed. There's a couple of alignment pieces there that we've seen come out of the previous weekend. But it also highlights the fact that we do have this separation of church and state. So the match officials are very separate from the judicial process, which is how it should be. Ideally, you want them aligned, but we see that in the real world as well. That doesn't always happen. So I'm sure they'll be reviewing that. The takeaway for me, though, is don't have tackle technique that puts you on the radar like that with your arm wrapped behind. Because if they're gone for a wrap, we would have just had a yellow card. We wouldn't be talking about it. But because they're leading with their shoulder, with their arm behind, it looks really bad. And clearly, it's something they've been coached to do because.
And we've had a few of these in the last couple of weeks, and they're all the tall guys, aren't they? Like it's tough for the second rowers to do that, and it might be that we have to switch them up in the defensive line. Like that's a near-in tackle, right?
Well, or just if you want to do a choke
don't
tackle,
stand them near into a breakdown. They have to be 2 or 3 wide.
Lead with your arms so you can wrap. Change the picture that you're presenting. That's the smart thing to do, because I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to do a shot on the ball to take the body down so they can't offload. Okay, but you run the risk if you get it wrong, and we've seen that 2 weeks in a row. And the first week, full red, Gussie nailed it. The guy got whacked with several weeks. This one, not so much. But yeah, something to work on.
And then Rassie using the number 8 as a replacement hooker.
He's obviously trained it. It was surprising to see, but it worked. Didn't get caught out.
Well, we saw that in the World Cup final, didn't we? We had a back rower slip in to play hooker after their starting hooker went off in the first couple of minutes. So, yeah, they've obviously got they've got a 3D whiteboard somewhere. Yeah, good on them.
I've got to say, though, I think I would like to see the South Africans tapped on the shoulder and say, hey, you can't put that much pressure on the referees. For me, it was a terrible look. If that's what we're condoning, I think we're going to start to go into all sorts of messy places. And we saw the ref get sucked into it a bit.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
I didn't see that bit. So it's with the HIA that happened? Is that what?
There's a couple of other instances as well. That the engagement became protracted, and sometimes it's just no.
Yeah, it was a real characteristic of the match, wasn't it, Peacey? There was lots of chat, too much chat, got sucked into it. At one point, I think, James, you could see he was a little bit, he'd had enough, and then the South Africans did something that was penalisable, and he just went straight to the pocket.
James is he tries to keep everyone happy and engaged, and that's to his credit. He's a great referee on that level. The South Africans took advantage of it, which is really disappointing. Like I don't think that's a James thing. I think that's a South Africa thing, but I suspect that we're all a bit gun shy about calling Rassie on it at the moment.
Well, and there are a couple of little markers that.
So I'm going to call him out. Rassie, be better.
Yeah.
You know where to reach me.
And your players reflect that on the pitch. There are a couple of examples. So first line out, Marco Marx is wiping the ball down with a towel. He gives the towel to Bok, who's the AR. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, Bok, with good grace, took it and got rid of it, but no. And then we have an HIA, and they're arguing on the sideline. And that brought James and at least one of the ARs in. Like, the match day doctor says an HIA, you do an HIA. End of story.
Yep.
It's a
Yeah.
terrible look.
Yeah.
I don't like it. So, yeah.
I'm with you, Rob. Rassie, be better.
Be
Yep.
better.
Set the standard. You don't need that shit.
And then I had nothing to report for the France versus Fiji match. I just enjoyed watching it.
It was one of the ones I only watched the highlight of, and the highlights were fun. They were short though. I think it was a 7-minute highlights package as opposed to the normal sort of 12.
Yeah, and look, I think we've covered the main match official points in Wales versus Japan. That was a big game. That was 12v13, so that's going to have an impact on World Cup seeding. So it was a game that could have been won, probably should have been won by Japan, but they sort of fluffed their lines a little bit. So disappointing.
Yep. Dare I say, the coach dropped the ball.
Yeah.
I don't think he got his subs right. I don't think he got his selections right. When the tight head came on, that was a different dynamic. Why didn't he start with him?
There's some chat coming out of Japan that, the selections are making a few people scratch their heads.
Yeah. And let's face it, Eddie's been
There you
there.
go.
It's time for him to move on and come back and destroy Australian rugby for another period.
Shivers, basically.
Oh,
If no one sees that, that's just
England,
what
New
happens.
Zealand highlight of the weekend. It was a great game of footy.
Oh my God, it was
Yeah.
amazing.
From the word go, there was a sense of, holy smokes, these guys are on with the way the Brits, the English faced up against the haka. Like we knew they were on. It was game on from word go.
yeah, but I got to say, at 14-0, I thought,
And
bloody hell.
Henry Pollock was just licking his lips during the thing. I was like, oh, he's intense.
For me, he's going to pay a price for that down the track. They'll have gone home and watched that video and thought,
Yeah.
let's get the little smart ass next time.
Yeah. New Zealand dropped off. They had that game to win, and they lost the plot there. And to England's credit, they came back well.
So many drop goals. I wanted to highlight, I thought the match official, the Italian, is it Andre?
It was Andrea Piatti. Yeah.
He was like perfectly positioned. It's almost like he sort of knew was going to happen, the different drop goals.
Yeah.
So I thought she did really well in doing that. And George Ford was doing very well as 10. There was a yellow card from New Zealand playing the ball on the ground. It was reviewed by the TMO. I found it hard as someone watching it to see how it sort of, I don't know. If you're on the ground, I didn't see it like as a intentional thing. I saw it as he was still part of the tackle personally, but that's just my point of view.
Dark arts of New Zealand rugby. That's what I would call that.
Yep.
And they got called on it. And they set a high standard. It was definitely a penalty. Was it a yellow card? Well, they've decided it was. Set a standard. Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that standard for the rest of the game. And I think it's fair to say there was a not dissimilar situation later in the game by an England player. It wasn't a knockout on the ground, but it was a similarly cynical behaviour, and they got binned as well. So I'm okay with that if you're consistent.
Oh, okay. So you think it's the dark arts?
Ref chat favourite line of the weekend, 71st minute, I referee.
Yeah.
Murrow. There's an undertone. Murrow, shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do like Andre's manner. He's just got this sort of insouciance that he takes around the field with him.
I haven't got the ability to look that up, Rob. The definition of insouciance?
Just sort of this ambivalence is the wrong word. He's just got this calm, water wouldn't fall off a duck's back. He's very it's not quite Gallic shrug. It's a little bit more sophisticated than that. But
a sophisticated shrug?
Yeah, he's got just this. I think it's a $15 word. He just got this ability, and we saw that in the Lions test.
There's a C in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, and he just toodles around, and there was heaps of pressure.
Candace, I don't know about you. I want
spelling bee.
They just had the school spelling bee too. It went for 3 hours. But anyway, I digress.
Rob's in the back just answering.
He just did really well throughout the game. And that was in stark contrast to the South Africa game. So he had plenty of people helping him, and he managed to just hose it down with...
Insouciance, INSOUCIANCE, casual lack of concern, indifference. I like it. Good word.
Yeah.
An impression of boyish insouciance is the usage in the Oxford Dictionary. Well done, Rob. That is a $15 word.
He was quite funny when he was saying it, but he was still on the megaphone on some of the stuff, so it just like boomed in the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking they should probably have, in NFL, they have like a little, their match officials have a little on-off thing where they can choose whether or not everyone hears them.
It's
Maybe they
centrally
could do that.
controlled here. The MOs don't control it, so they have to say, right, put me back on the screen, which is subtext, turn on my mic for the stadium. And sometimes they don't get it right. And we saw that a couple of times over the weekend. I think James had the same issue in the South Africa game. So, yes, it's not quite as bad as leaving your comms kit on when you go to the toilet before a match, but...
Is that the accidental or deliberate one?
Yeah, well, it depends, I guess. Trying to make a statement, so...
There was a try initially given to George Ford, but then it was taken back because of a possible rip. But then they realized there was something even before that about an offside.
I think they actually decided they didn't want to rule on that, and the commentary said they have decided that's play on whatever they decided. And I thought that's actually not right. But then they came back to something prior and basically gazumped it anyway. But
correct.
It was an interesting one of those strips that could have been
it was one of those 50-50.
implied on either of the participants.
Yeah, correct.
Mm-hmm.
But they, as you say, Peacey, they got themselves out of jail because there's a very clear offside line out by England.
So as a team, that's a really good way to do it. Just find something beforehand. You can say, I don't know about that one, but I'm going to go with this one.
Yeah. And it was material because it gave them the advantage to get through, and that's how they scored the try. So, right outcome.
Yeah.
I thought the team actually did a really good job of sweeping back play there in that game.
They swept well, and it kept the game flow. Again, the game had much more flow than the South Africa game. The South Africa game was so stop-start.
And that's what they want. The South Africans carry big blokes. They want the stops.
Yeah.
If we think that's the referee's problem, it's not. It's the South Africans doing it.
Yeah. We as match officials can't get caught in that little trap. So, to be fair, Andre is pretty good at that. He likes to keep the game moving, and I thought he did a pretty good job of that. There were a lot of scrum resets, though. That would be my only exception. Yeah. I thought there were too many resets. Put the pressure back on the players. Make them perform rather than keep resetting. So,
I think also there's an element of actually both New Zealand and England, they do like to assert scrum dominance and get paid. Like they call it getting paid from the scrum. I don't like that. Pay from the scrum is get the ball.
Oh, front foot ball.
Mm.
But yeah, I think he had a chat with them in the second half about he liked how the scrums were in the first half and then didn't like how they were in the second half. So maybe it was also like a timing as well of when you have that chat with them, what you want to see.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that last week. Someone had a scrum chat in the 79th minute, didn't they?
It was Pierre.
It's like, dude. There was one odd moment when the All Blacks 9 held the ball and then got penalised. It's like, dude, get the ball out. It's turning to shit really quickly. Just
read the room.
Get the ball out. Yeah, exactly. Read the room. You're not going to benefit from this because it's not a clear and obvious. And if anything, you're going to be, just got penalised. Coach killer. Absolute coach killer.
We have one other game we probably should talk about, but I don't want to.
No. I'm still on your couch, Peacey.
Yeah.
Is that the Ireland versus Australia match?
Yeah.
Sorry, who? So disappointing. It was just
I started
awful.
watching it and then I got a bit discouraged watching it, like the full version for a certain period of time. And then I stopped and then I had to watch the MIDI. That's how I felt about it.
I watched it in real time and I couldn't fast forward. So it was like a slow motion car crash.
I probably would like to have an overall philosophical comment. Karl's got an abrasiveness that I quite like. Unfortunately, with some of the abrasive English referees, our team respond terribly, and they did. And that's not on Karl. I'm not criticising Karl. I'm criticising our guys. They respond terribly to that, and we have from time to time. George Gregan with Andre Watson, if you recall that relationship, he was always abrasive with them, and we don't do that well. And Karl's got to really take it or leave it. You come at me, I'm going to come back at you type way about him. And he's a good referee. I thought he did a good job. Like, yes, there was some parts of the game where I thought, oh, is that right? Is that not right? It's not wrong. We argued with him rather than just getting on it and doing our job. And the Australian teams always underperform when they're not focused on their job.
I think that's a fair comment. Look, I thought he had a fine game. There's nothing to talk about with him, really, is there? Apart from your big picture comment there, which I agree with, Peacey.
And look, Australia scored a lot of points. It's just that the Irish 15 is Australian.
Well, yeah.
Did he have
he got 3
trick?
tries, right? He got a hat trick,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
in the
that's on
first
us.
half,
Like,
I think. So
it could have been playing our team too if we had got our stuff right.
Don't forget, he chose to leave.
Yes,
we didn't kick him out
because we didn't provide a pathway.
No, we did. He had a contract offer from the Brumbies. He didn't select it. He did.
Do you remember the dollar discrepancy though? It was basically another number on it.
Look, Yeah, that's the problem we've got. And New Zealand rugby suffering that as well. We don't have enough teams. We don't have enough money.
We're talking a 5-digit offer and a 6-digit offer. They were the differences. 100%.
Which one?
I'll take the one with 6 numbers on it, please.
Yeah. Then he managed to get developed to the next level because he certainly wasn't a test player when he left here.
No, but we all saw the talent.
But that's one of the great challenges. We talked about this earlier. Identifying the talent at the right time and developing them. It's hard. It's really hard. Had this conversation the other day over coffee doing the post-mortem. You take a whole bunch of kids at 18 and they're all at different stages in the development pathway. You look at them again when they're 25 and, it goes Manhattan, up and down. Some drop off, some get better. Your late developers come on. Your early developers sometimes just disappear. Your superstar kid, schoolboys, never to be seen again. And then you get a late developer like a Mac Hansen and they go better later.
It's interesting sports psych topic, and it applies to referees too, can I say?
Yeah, absolutely.
That technical and physical piece, that's not what we should be selecting on. There's a resilience piece, a competitiveness, a stay in the game type mindset.
Yeah, I agree.
And you talk. My favorite story in that regard is the Tom Brady metric. Like he was 40th, 50th in that intake, that draft year, but he had that resilience, that competitiveness, win at all costs. But leadership, bring your team with your metric. I think Mac Hansen showed that sort of stuff early on. He showed the resilience. Of course, he wasn't as big as some of the other lads in his intake.
No.
Neither's Jorgo, and we actually got that one right.
Well, and I think Mac was a bit of a harbinger in some ways because you look at your South African wings. We all talk about South Africa being huge. Their wingers in the last little while have all been, as Harry Jones calls them, leckerbacks. They're little guys wearing headgear, fast feet, fast wheels, punch above their weight. And Louis B. Barry is another example of that. Mac Hansen is another example of that. Jorgo is sort of like that, just doesn't wear the headgear. They're all little, fast, nimble guys that you want to find space
who can test everything.
And they've got a big engine, fast wheels, and their box office.
Yeah. And Marika's another one we've had recently, but it was a late find as well.
Yeah. I'm a slightly different style of play. He was,
once again, not big.
No.
Not the fastest guy in the shed, but geez, that ability to just get in and stay in and keep getting to contests.
And rock hard. Like, I would hate to be tackled by him at speed. As Mpimbi would probably tell you every time someone asked him. Holy moly.
I haven't got anything else from the game, though. I think on the whole, it was just incredibly frustrating, and Karl was great. At the time I watched it, I was furious about a whole lot of stuff, but on reflection, he got everything right.
It was us, not them. But it just goes to show you the fine margins between the top and not so top. You throw a Will Skelton in there, you throw a Tate McDermott in there, maybe a Taniela, and all of a sudden, that balance changes. I mean, Will Skelton, we saw that in the Lions series. Massive impact player.
And really, that probably throws us to the next question. How much are France going to beat us by?
Yeah, how's the next week looking?
Well, I mean, France didn't put Fiji away as much as some people would have thought, although I have to say I'm not surprised because Fiji's a good rugby team.
Yep.
Italy's a good rugby team. Argentina's a good rugby team. We've got all these teams that people continue to underrate, and they keep performing to where they should be, and people go, "Oh, that's a surprise." And we go, "Actually, no, it's not."
No.
Maybe now's a good time to look at the match appointments for next week. This is our last big weekend. So this is the last Reg 9 weekend. There's a couple of matches next weekend, but this is the final big one, and it kicks off at the Principality, Wales and New Zealand. Boy, oh boy, is there some history there. And I love this. Holly is doing this game.
Woo!
So that is fantastic. We've got Holly up, Andrea's on the flag with Gianluca. Another Italian, which is great. Oh, that'd be a great match.
That's
I can't wait to watch that.
Bucket list one as well. So exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Tempest, Timo, and Matteo Liparini. So we've got a big Italian contingent on that MO team, 3 of the 5. Then we go to Georgia and Japan, the battle of the reds and the whites. So who knows what colours they wear? Based on what we saw last weekend when Wales played Japan, it took me a minute to work out who was who. It was nuts.
Yeah.
Two traditionally
my darling wife
teams.
came and looked at the game and she said, who's wearing purple? Yeah.
So Georgia and Japan in Tbilisi. Owen Cross has got that with Anthony Woodthorpe and Peter Martin, and Leo Colgan's the teammate. No foul play review for that for some reason, which I'm assuming it's a technical issue rather than intent. Then Spain and Fiji in
Ooh.
Malaga. So that'll be a doozy. I mean, that'll be a party, I reckon. I reckon that'll be a massive party. Damien
That'd be fun in the
Schneider,
crowd.
Oh, yeah. Federico Veravelli, George Selwood. I think we saw him 4-5ing in the England game, and Quinton Immelman on teamer. And again, no foul play review. So, I think that must be technical. Ireland, South Africa. Woo! Oh, my goodness. The record South Africa have against Ireland in recent times is really poor. I think they've only won 25% of their games recently. And the Irish love poking the South African bear, shall we say. This will be huge. And we've got two green teams. Goodness knows what they'll wear. Maybe the South Africans will wear the dental floss one they've got, which is, but maybe the Irish will turn up in pink or something. I don't know.
Not
So
sure.
that'll be a challenge.
Who is
Matthew
that?
Carley's got that.
Oh, okay.
Karl Dickson, Christoph Ridley, Andrew Jackson, and Dan Jones. So an all-English match official team. So we've got the 5 green castles on the machine. Ding, 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 ding. So the RFU win that one. Well done. Italy and Chile in Genoa. Adam Lill, shout out to him. Adam Jones, Ben Connor, Ben Whitehouse, and Stuart Tehij. So we've got a mixture there of the Welsh and the English. Then the big one for us, will we get enough rankings points to jump into the 6?
No.
We can.
No, we won't.
But the odds are against us. France, Australia, Stade de France, Luke Pearce. I'm really, really pleased to see him
Ooh, that's
on
exciting.
the whistle. Yeah, I really like Luke's style. He likes a free-flowing game. He communicates well. I think he's got a really good mindset. So, and to your point, Peacey, he's very different to, say, a Karl in his style. Hopefully that will help us. Andy Brace and Craig Evans on the flags. Marius van der Westhuizen, teammate Mike Adamson in the other box. So that'll be a cracker.
I'm just looking at the sports bet margins, and it's not pretty.
No, France would be about $1.10, I would guess.
$1.10.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Australia are paying $7.50.
Yep. So put your house on it.
In a 2-horse race.
Yeah, I know, right? But, well, that's a thing, right? But that's another whole topic.
This is Smitty's last game, isn't it?
No, he's got a few more early next year before he hands over to Les.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Les takes over after Super.
I wouldn't be surprised if that changes. I would be surprised if Les doesn't want to take over sooner.
Well, it's not him. It's Queensland. I know. Imagine that Queensland is being parochial with their rugby.
I can't imagine Smitty's got anything to gain from hanging around.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's been discussed, right? So, fair point. Let's see what happens there. What do we got? Portugal, Canada, Morne Ferreira, South African referee. There you go. Saba Aburlashvili. There's our new Georgian, Filippo Russo, and Marius Jonker. Romania, Uruguay. Jeremy Rozier, Ben Breakspear, Kevin Braley, and Aled Griffiths. So those last two are in Cumbria, and Bucharest. So we're getting to some interesting rugby venues.
Where is that?
I want to reference Scotland-Tonga. Scotland-Tonga's at Murrayfield, not surprisingly. Luke Ramos has got that. A couple of French ARs, Evan and Benoit. Tua Tranini is also the teamer. And Ollie Hodges from the Irish Rugby Football Union. Now, Ollie confused me last weekend because he was TMOing the Scotland game, and I'm listening to him going, that's an Australian voice. And I don't remember seeing an Australian in the TMO box. Turns out Ollie is a Queenslander who moved to Ireland some time ago and has got himself into refereeing at the elite level. So shout out to Ollie.
Oh, bravo.
Well done. Yeah.
Well done, Ollie.
It's always a bit
Well
confusing when they have the flag and it's just like, oh, the accent doesn't necessarily always match what you think.
I think I heard it the previous week and went, I must go back and check that, and I didn't. So that was why. Then Battle of the Malvinas, England, Argentina, which is always good. And this is actually a really big game because this has implications as well. These guys always turn it on. Pierre's got that one. Pierre Brousset. Nika is on the flag. Sam Grove-White, Scotland, on the other flag. Eric Gauzon from France. Matteo Liparini again from Italy. So that'll be doozy. So, yeah, England, Argentina wrap up the weekend. So that'll be a great way to finish the weekend, I reckon. That'll be a massive match.
So much footy. I'll be watching the cricket.
I love how after all of that,
On your Peacey. Yeah.
I'm on Ash's countdown. Sorry, folks. Rugby out.
How quickly we turn Peacey. Well, that's going to be an absolute bell ringer too, isn't it? The English are
I'm
talking a
hearing
big game.
rain on day 1 and 2 in Perth, which is most unusual.
What? They're in drought.
Maybe they need
I
the water.
Predicted day 1, day 2.
I've got to say, I wouldn't mind seeing Mitchy Stark on a green pitch with a bit of humidity and the doctor coming in.
Yeah, no, none of the English are excited about that.
I want someone to poke the Stark bear really hard, and
Yes,
then I
please.
want him to respond. We need Warney, may he rest in peace, to give Stark a bit of a rev up,
Yeah.
and then we get a 7 for.
There's a toss that I don't want the Aussies to win. We'll bat. We win the toss, we bat. I actually want to see the English bat, and I want to see Starkey peel about 3 of them out in the first 8 balls.
Yep. I'm a bit disappointed we're not opening at the Gabba, because that's always a good way to just get inside their heads, but here we are.
If we get a traditional Perth pitch, also good. And we haven't lately. We don't have that fire and brimstone, hell-raising 8-foot bounce.
Is this a
Different
5-day
stadium.
cricket thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the real McCoy.
Candace, I'm actually not taking the piss. I won't be watching any rugby this weekend. I will be watching the cricket. Far more important for us Australians at the moment.
Well, it's our birthday weekend in our family. We've got 2 birthdays this weekend. So
Is that you, Rob?
No. I'm done for the year. No, we've got one on Friday, one on Monday. One of them's a milestone, so we need to celebrate that with some.
Happy birthday, Team McCoy.
To Brio, with Brio, 21st in the family. So,
oh my God, I've heard 21st parties in Australia are massive. The 21st.
Yeah.
Are you going to have like loads of, not children,
No.
teenagers?
Is there a video montage to take the piss?
Not as yet, but yes,
you're working on it. I'd love to hear that.
Well, the celebrant is very low key about where they want to go with their birthday.
I hate to tell you, it's not about them.
There are some very cute photos over the years. So, yes,
good.
I'm looking forward to something happening around that. So,
good.
Yeah, big weekend ahead on the footy front, big weekend ahead on the birthday front. It's meant to rain all weekend here, so maybe I will get to watch a bit of footy and cricket in between party celebrations. Who knows?
Candace, you got anything on this weekend? I'm going to Mudgee for a touch footy both days.
Nothing for me. I'm having Christmas party tomorrow for work, and I'm doing some extra shifts working at Budgie Smugglers in Manly. So if anyone wants to come by,
I'll send you through an order.
Yeah,
please
staff
do.
discounts. Yeah,
Yep.
Nice. I'll pop in if I'm down there. Absolutely.
Yeah, go for
And
it.
leave
Saturday
the
shift.
popping into Budgie Smugglers. We're going to leave that alone.
It's better than popping. It's better than popping
Much
out
better
of
popping out of
the
On that note, Rob, we need to do better.
I think we can sign off.
Candace, you were great today, as always. Rob, we've just shown how bad we can be.
It's Peacey. It's good to have our balanced level of mediocrity back.
Yes,
I was missing my mediocrity trim last week.
Striving for mediocrity at its best. Thank you, team. Go the Wallabies.